New York Attorney General Leticia James has been indicted by a grand jury on criminal bank fraud charges. Of course, it's not the Democrats who have been constantly saying no one's above the law, who are saying this, what a great thing this is. Oh my God, good job. Good job for prosecuting people who are breaking the law, right? No, pretty much everyone on the left is crying about how Trump is weaponizing government. Yeah, pretty much across the board. So let's look into a little bit about the situation and see what's going on.
Leticia James has been indicted on criminal bank fraud charges. James is being accused of having falsified records to meet certain lending requirements and receive favorable loan terms. We'll keep up with that story as it develops.
Oh my God. Wait, but I don't understand. Wait, isn't this is the, by the way, if you don't know who this was, this is the person who pretty much ran on a platform of getting one on Trump. We're going to prosecute Trump. We're going to put him in jail. All this stuff. I'm going to do everything and anything I can to get Trump. And funnily enough, she actually posted this in 2024. No one is above the law. Well, except you, right? I mean, you were pretty willing to do anything and everything you wanted to break the law, right? Oh, right. It's Republicans. Right. Okay. Gotcha. Okay. It's Republicans can't do it, but Democrats can do whatever they want, right? Of course. That's rules for thee, but not for me. Let's see what she has to say about this.
This is nothing more than a continuation of the president's desperate weaponization of our justice system. He is forcing federal law enforcement agencies to do his bidding, all because I did my job as the New York State Attorney General. These charges are baseless, and the president's own public statements make clear that his only goal is political retribution at any cost. The president's actions are a grave violation of our constitutional order and have drawn sharp criticism from members of both parties. His decision to fire a United States attorney who refused to bring charges against me and replace them with someone who is blindly loyal not to the law, but to the president is antithetical to the bedrock principles of our country. This is the time for leaders on both sides of the aisle to speak out against this blatant perversion of our system of justice. I stand strongly behind my office's litigation against the Trump Organization. We conducted a 2-year investigation based on the facts and evidence, not politics. Judges have upheld the trial court's finding that Donald Trump, his company, and his 2 sons are liable for fraud. I'm a proud woman of faith, and I know that faith and fear cannot share the same space. And so today, I'm not fearful. I'm fearless. And as my faith teaches me, no weapon formed against me shall prosper. We will fight these baseless charges aggressively, and my office will continue to fiercely protect New Yorkers and their rights. And I will continue to do my job.
So, as we know, when it comes to any leftists, the first thing is to say, well, that didn't happen. What are you talking about? This is baseless claims whatsoever. And then the next thing to say is, well, you know, if it did happen, it's not that bad. What do you mean? You know, everyone does this. This is just a normal everyday thing. What do you mean? What are you talking about? There's way more important things going on. Okay, what's wrong with you?
Aside for a second, what Tish James, and again, we're still getting the details, but if it's related to this mortgage issue, I mean, this is something that everyone in America, or many people at least, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in America, you deal with this, right? The federal government doesn't go after all of these people for doing this. Does that aside for
Look, guys, everyone does this, okay? Everyone breaks the law. Everyone lies. It's not a big deal, okay? Don't you understand? This is crazy. You can't go after someone like this. Wait, but I thought there was... Didn't someone say something regarding this? Oh, wait. That's right. It was her saying no one is above the law. Right. Oh, right. Okay, I got it. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. So no one is above the law except you. Okay, got that. Just checking. Okay. Anyways, the next step, of course, is always going to be it's not that it didn't happen. If it did happen, it's not that big deal. And then the next step is, why are you even talking about this, dude? What do you mean? You know, there's Trump did this and Trump did that and Trump is terrible and oh my God. Right? But anyways, here's the thing. Let's see how people are looking at this particular issue, and then perhaps on the very similar issue, which would have been Trump's alleged crimes. You know, even people in this chat were saying recently, oh, why would you give the Nobel Peace Prize to a person who's a felon and all this stuff? Same situation completely, right? When we're talking about, not to get too deep into the whole Trump thing because we're currently focusing on this, but very much the same issue. Let's just look at how people talk about this as opposed to how they talk about Trump's situation, right? Pretty important to give a viewpoint on this situation. Let's see what this is all about.
Acknowledged that there could have been a mistake on his financial statement when it came to the value of his Trump Tower apartment, but he said that's why his statements included disclaimer clauses. Quote, there's a disclaimer clause where you don't have to get sued by the Attorney General of New York. Is that in any way a legitimate defense?
No, and the judge already found it wasn't. The judge said, listen, you just can't offer miscalculating or wrong and misleading and fraudulent information and then say, wait, just kidding, do your own due diligence here. You have to be able to rely on what's actually being said. So the judge already resolved that issue. Now, what he's trying to do, though, is suggest, and you can't have both worlds, Jake. He can't on the one hand say he's in control of everything, on the other hand say, look, everyone else told me this, and I handed it over and delegated. Both can't be true on a fraud trial.
They have to prove that it's done knowingly. And so
So if it's a mistake, that's actually relevant criminally. It has to be, if it is a mistake and the person says, look, it's obviously a mistake, here's evidence it's a mistake, then you can't prove intent, and that's important?
they've acknowledged, Leticia James seems not, there was an error on a power of attorney form. They would try to argue that that was no intent of wrongdoing if she was presenting throughout, and the bank itself did not feel it was defrauded because they had the correct information despite one false document.
Well, Jake, the key question, assuming this is in fact a mortgage fraud case, is whether Leticia James intentionally and specifically made a false representation. So as Kara said, now they're going to have to prove their case to a jury eventually beyond a reasonable doubt. And if this is a mistake or something that was done inadvertently, that's not going to be enough to support a criminal charge against Leticia James.
Really? But that was more than enough to get Trump on felony charges for something that essentially equates to a mistaken Venmo writing charge, you know? Say that you buy a muffin from someone and you say it's for cheese sticks. I don't know why you'd be getting cheese sticks, but there you go. That's essentially what Trump did. And not even him, you know, one of his people they hired did that. Then they wrote individual notes for these things. And then that's why he got so many different felony charges. Essentially the same exact thing for Trump. And yet, when it comes to Trump, people love to bring up, oh, he's a felon. But yet, it's rules for thee, but not for me. She's allowed to do whatever she wants. It's weaponization of government when it comes to her. But for Trump, she literally ran on, I'm going to get Trump. I'm going to do everything I can to bring him to justice. No one's above the law, except for her. Because she is completely able to do whatever and anything she wants because she's completely above any sort of reproach, right? Crazy. Anyways, let's check out another clip involving this.
Is not supposed to work. Jeff, I mean, according to PolitiFact, the day after she was elected in 2018, Leticia James was asked by a community activist if she was going to sue President Trump, and she replied, quote, "Oh, we're going to definitely sue him. We're going to be a real pain in the ass. He's going to know my name personally." I mean, that's not a great look for somebody who has just been elected or just been campaigning, who hasn't even looked, I guess, at deeply at any evidence.
Well, that's, we live in a system where attorneys general and district attorneys in the United States, unlike almost any other country, are elected officials, are politicians. So they run for office making political statements. That's how our system works. It's not pretty. I don't think it's a great system, but there's nothing uncommon about it. The other point to make, though, is just because she made inappropriate comments, that doesn't mean she should get indicted for fraud years later. I mean, we're not supposed to live in a system of that kind of tit for tat. Criminal cases are supposed to stand or fall on their own merits.
David, I mean, there's no evidence that Leticia James's indictment stems from some widespread audit of thousands of mortgage applications.
Crazy. Absolutely insane. Rules for thee, but not for me. It's just exactly from the Democrat handbook, where they can do whatever they want with impunity. Yet anytime the Republican does it, then the entire house falls off.
Townsend and Michael Steele. Tonight, our hour is focused on the indictment of New York Attorney General Leticia James. In just a moment, we're going to be joined by the MSNBC reporter who's broken critical parts of this story. James' indictment comes just weeks after Donald Trump publicly pressured his Justice Department to take action against Leticia James, James Comey, and other perceived enemies. This is retribution, plain and simple. Remember,
this is retribution, plain and simple. But wait, I thought that no one is above the law. But is someone above the law? Or oh.
James secured a successful civil fraud verdict against Trump's business in New York just last year. On Monday, MSNBC reported that a top prosecutor in the Eastern District of Virginia told coworkers she found no probable cause in James's case. The prosecutor planned to present her conclusion to Trump's hand-picked interim U.S. attorney, Lindsay Halligan. But today, Halligan, who has been that office's top prosecutor for just over 2 weeks, presented evidence to a grand jury anyway. She was the sole signer on the James indictment. As you'll recall, Halligan was also the sole signer on the Comey indictment. Leticia James said this tonight in response.
This is not.
So I think it's very clear that this is a two-tier justice system where when it comes to going after Republicans, people are all for it on the left. And they want to talk to you about their moral superiority, how, oh, we're the party that supports democracy. We're the party that wants to maintain this union. We're the party that respects law and order. Except when it comes to actually having justice for one of their own. And I think that's really the huge problem of the left right now, is that they are incapable of looking introspectively about any wrongdoings that happen within their party.